So lately, I've been thinking a lot about one of what I believe is one of the most overlooked and underrated verses in the whole Bible, and that is Exodus 20, verse 7, which simply says, "You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not leave him unpunished who takes his name in vain." Now, if you look at any other religion, you'll notice that there's no other God who ever said, "Don't take my name in vain." Nobody ever said that, ever, throughout all of history. And this was written, we know, at least like 4,000 years ago, maybe more. And so we know that this was original, that it's unlikely that they would have ever known that 4,000 years later, people would be taking the name of this particular God in vain. And yet people do it all the time. You know, I won't go watch Hollywood movies anymore because of the blasphemy, and most Christians won't. It's outrageous. People in general, most people will just kind of blaspheme the Lord a few times a day. A lot of them will do it dozens of times a day, and none of them really think about it. I'm not talking about like really bad people. I'm not talking about just serial killers, just normal people. In general, almost everyone blasphemes the name of the Lord except for Christians. So, and not only that, but they don't blaspheme any other God. They don't ever use the name of any other God in vain. But the God of the Bible, including God himself and Jesus, both have their names used in vain, used in cuss words without giving it due honor. And yet, 4,000 years ago, it was prophesied, pretty much, although technically this isn't a prophecy, but somehow the God of the Bible knew that people would do that, would take his name in vain. And, so many people argue the Bible's not true, blah, blah, blah. And these will be like, some of them are very highly educated people. I know two people in particular who are extremely well educated, and yet they don't realize that right here is evidence that the Bible's true, because how could the God of the Bible know in particular that people would use his name in vain and say not to do it 4,000 years before it happened? That's amazing. And you know what? Nobody really seems to realize this kind of stuff is evidence that the Bible is true, because how else would God know that people would do that? And why doesn't any other God say that? And yet no other God has his name used in vain either. I would say this is one of the greatest prophecies fulfilled in the Bible, that we see fulfilled every single time someone uses his name in vain, which is literally like thousands of times per second. So it's an interesting and overlooked thing, in my opinion.